Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today is a chef who's always worked on various different types of jobs in the kitchen and always wanted to run his own kitchen, serving up breakfast and lunch from scratch in Castleberry, Florida. Please welcome the chef and owner of Alex's Fresh Kitchen, Alex Diaz. What's going on, Alex?
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome, man. Very welcome. Okay, so my first question always is, what's your go-to sandwich, lunch? What's your go-to?
Go-to sandwich is going to be the Mamba Burger.
Okay.
That's everybody award-winning Mamba Burger.
Yeah.
Everybody knows us for the Mamba Burger. A little bit about the burger. It's a little bit about Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
So when Kobe Bryant passed away, we had a lot of people coming into the restaurant wanting a burger, and I was a little under about Kobe dying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when people were coming in asking for a burger, we were just a breakfast spot, like 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I wasn't serving burgers. And my mom was like getting upset that people were like leaving by abundance. They're coming in here, we don't have a burger, they're leaving. So my mom was like, make an effing burger, Alex, make an effing burger. So I was like, okay, let me think about this, how I'm going to do this. So I was in denial about Kobe dying at that time. So I went home thinking about it, slept on it, woke up, had this idea about Kobe Bryant and making a burger after his, like a tribute. So my idea was just to make this burger one time only, and it ended up being like who we are today. It just blew up. We ended up winning the burger award for it. But a little bit how I started to create it. So my idea was to try to put his personality into a burger, which I've never done before.
Yeah.
I've never created anything like that, but I was really feeling in the moment of like an icon, like I grew up Jordan, but when Kobe came into the play, it was just like he was like the next best thing,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, this guy's just amazing. And it just on and off the field, it just made me more inspired to make it a perfect burger.
Okay.
So I came out with the 24 spices to represent his number. And then my brother, Zach, he asked me, why are you doing a 6-ounce burger? Why don't you just do an 8-ounce burger and then you complete both his numbers? And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So I started with the 8-ounce burger, 24 spices. And then I had to think about how was I going to put his personality and who he is in this burger.
Yeah.
So I thought about the Mamba snake, So I thought about jalapenos. So it was like jalapenos fried. You got that nice fiery bite, it kind of represents the serpent,
Yep.
So then I thought about the pickles, and I was like, oh, about himself. So the pickles kind of remind you of how he made people feel, how salty he made them feel, the bitterness and stuff like that. And then the cheese sauce. The cheese sauce was just the top because he's always smiling. He always had that smile, no matter if he was hurt and sick, winning, losing, no matter what. He always had that smile. And he always had a burger from In-N-Out before and after every game.
Oh,
and
really?
I found that out after I created the Mamba Burger.
I had no idea about that.
So there's quite a few pictures that you can see him biting down on a burger. So that also helped me with my creation because I seen some of the ingredients on the plate and some of the pictures, and that's how I came up with the jalapeno and pickles. And that's pretty much how it sums it all up for the Mamba Burger. And then after that, it's like the chicken sandwich, the turkey club, the chicken and waffles. And then after that, it's just more of our creations that we do sometimes.
Yeah.
I let my guys do a lot of the creating because, like, as I was telling you before, when I was a young chef working all over, I've always wanted to get in the kitchen and work personally with the chef and create something. But, that's all a dream. It's not really... that doesn't really ever happen, and it never did for me. So sharing ideas and everything like that with other friends and other chefs, I think, is the best way to create great food. So I let these guys pretty much do what they want within reason. We cross-reference our menu with ingredients that we have, and we try to create stuff like that. Sometimes I buy some stuff like out, But most of the time, I just let them go full full ham on it. Whatever they want to do, you want to create something crazy, let's do it. That's why I'm able to create my menu differently all the time. As far as consistency goes, I feel like I was telling you before, I feel like consistency can be a killer sometimes.
Yeah.
So like when you go to McDonald's, when you go to Chick-fil-A, yeah, you get what you want all the time, but it's still the same. There's nothing different about it. It's always the same. So as people, I feel like we always strive for something different. We always want something different. For some people, they want the same thing all the time, and I don't want to say those people are boring, but as a chef and like as a person that loves food, we always want to try something different.
Yeah.
You know, my mind's always going, like I'm talking to you right now, my mind is somewhere else, and I'm like thinking about food that I want to create later this week. So it's just how my mind works. It's even when I'm like sleeping, I wake up and my wife's like, what's wrong? I don't know. I'm just thinking about some food tomorrow and I'm gonna make it. And she's like, she thinks I'm like having like a heart attack about something.
So to tell people a bit about what they expect to eat if they were to come visit at Alex Fresh Kitchen, because obviously you have breakfast, you have burgers, but give people a little bit of idea.
Well, they would definitely indulge into like probably most likely pancakes or croissant sandwich. Something that's easy for the first time is going to be something light, I figured. A lot of people go for the fried chicken sandwich. You know, if you're not doing a chicken sandwich well, then there's no reason to try anything else. That's kind of how I look at it. But when you come in here, it's kind of, for the first time, I feel like it's hard for some people.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we have a chalkboard that's full of like ideas, and then we have our staple menu that's also kind of like crazy. Our menu's I would say is indulgent in like Southern comfort food.
Okay.
So, but we also do other things, like we focus on gluten-free stuff. So we do get a lot of people that come in here that's celiac and stuff like that. So for saying the first time coming in here,
or just in general, just explaining to someone, like if they said, "Oh, you own," if they were to meet you and be like, "Oh, what kind of food do you do, Alex?"
I just say American.
Okay.
I say American. I say I'm known for my burgers, and I point at my tattoos on my arm and stuff like that. And I always talk about the Mamba Burger because, again, that's where it all started. Like, because in the way in the beginning, we were a lunch spot, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I was more focused on crunch and the gym people that are around here. So I was making like parfaits and like yogurt plates and stuff like that. So it was more a real healthy approach. But then when COVID and stuff like that came, it just changed everything.
And you had to pivot and adapt then.
Yeah, like Kobe.
Yeah.
And that's where like the whole Mamba mentality, the inspirations, like I felt like it was the path for us to take because it's what was pointing us in that direction.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Now you're located in Castleberry, Florida. I kind of want to, I'm always intrigued by places when people like, because obviously there's the certain hotspots in Orlando that everyone wants to be in.
Oh yeah.
And obviously it costs money to be in those areas. Yeah. It's expensive. So sometimes you kind of have to go and venture out a little bit in the outskirts of some of those areas and almost become, one of my previous guests called it a destination location.
Yes.
So I would unless you're local in Castleberry, I would say for me, it's like a 25-minute drive.
Correct.
So like I have to, if I'm coming, it's either I'm in the area or I'm driving specifically to come eat at your place. So how did that come about? Like deciding on the location and kind of going that route. And then was the original concept, was it always a concept of like, hey, I want a brick and mortar, and the opportunity just kind of came? Like, tell me a little bit about how that whole experience came.
So definitely not. So I was on my way out as far as a chef, 2019. I had my last run opening a restaurant called Cafe Linger over in Edgewater. Just had not a bad relationship, just had some not the greatest experiences, and we parted ways, and I was just like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
You know, I've been asking my mother to invest into opening a restaurant for probably the last 12 years. And she always said, I need not enough seasoning. You need more seasoning, Alex. So she would tell me, I'm like, at that time, I was like 16 years as a chef. I'm like, what more do you need? You know, you've seen all the restaurants I've opened. You've seen, you know. So I'm a gamer. I like to play video games. So I was looking into like schooling for video games and stuff like that. I was going to take a loan out, and then both my moms were like, we're going to open a new restaurant. And I'm like, yeah, right. And we met up at a lawyer's place. We created the LLC. And the name just came as we were creating the LLC. We really didn't know Alex's Fresh Kitchen was going to be called Alex's Fresh Kitchen. The first name that we came up with was called Are You Kitchen Me?
I like it.
So we had a lot of like cool names that we came up with, but for some reason Alex's Fresh Kitchen stuck because of all my supporters and my mothers know me the most. You know, they know my ups, my downs, my strong sides, my weaknesses and stuff like that. So they helped me kind of grow the business as far as like, because I didn't know how and what I was gonna do. Like nobody knows who I am here. You know, I've opened up restaurants, but I'm not like this renowned chef, like, or a celebrity chef. No one knows who the hell I am. So, and
kind of almost like what you said, in the sense of when you are like the main chef, it's kind of like you're the quote unquote main star.
Exactly.
And then the supporting cast, the people who are actually doing the food, you're not actually getting the notoriety or whatnot because you're kind of like the sous chef. You're just like the person setting up, even though there's a huge part in what you do, you're not the main one. So obviously even though you've been and done a lot of different restaurants, a lot of people just didn't know who you were.
Exactly.
Even though you've had a lot of sweat and a lot of time and a lot of everything in the kitchen. Not to mention your dad's a chef. I mean, your whole you got like a whole generational thing of when it comes to food and being a chef and everything like that.
Correct. My dad was a chef as well. I mean, he still is a chef, but he's out of that business. But back to how I started. My mother's, after we came out of making the LLC, we started looking around, and I didn't know how to look around, you know. So I was just like Googling and looking at City something and LoopNet and stuff like that, and I found this lady that was selling her place, and she was a catering commissary kitchen. And what I wanted to do was get a food truck, but I didn't want to be in someone else's commissary kitchen because it's very costly. Mm-hmm. So I worked at the East End Market, and I worked at a bunch of other places that have commissary kitchens. So I kind of understand that it was pretty expensive. But if I had my own spot or my own workplace, I can just work on my own, and I don't have to answer to nobody. So that brought me to looking at places like commissaries, people that were selling their stuff. And I found this spot in Avalon Park. That was our first location we were looking at. So we were looking out there. I worked for this lady for a little bit, but she wanted a lot of money for basically essentially a spot that's more like, it was big enough for a commissary kitchen. It's just the stuff that was buying with it wasn't commercial grade. So we weren't interested.
Yeah.
So we looking around. I went to Winter Park. I went to Maitland. I went to all these places. But for like startup, it was a lot, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what you call it? Like, not distraught, just like I wasn't scared or feared. I was just getting discouraged. I would say like I didn't know where I was going to end up. And I was working with this broker. And what he does is that he finds businesses that are like failing or that want to sell. So that's what he did. And he found this spot here. It used to be called Five Boroughs Pizza.
Okay.
So it's a pizza spot. This guy was failing, and he offered to sell the place to me. And I was like, we need to start somewhere. And
it's probably cheaper than you getting.
It was way cheaper when we first started here. And I wasn't really thinking about location per se, because I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew it was going to take time, and I knew it was going to be slow. So I had to really think hard what I wanted to do here. And I always enjoyed like breakfast, brunch. So, back to what I originally wanted to do was like sort of like Spanish food, but with a twist, a more elevated. But when I started doing my research in this area, I was like, I wasn't going to be able to do that. Like, even though it's a Spanish culture area, kind of, the type of food that I wanted to do would have been more elegant, more a little elevated. So you definitely would be paying more money.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's just do breakfast and lunch. And then that's when my mom was like, oh, you got Crunch over there is being built. Wawa was being built at that time. We have a lot of health things around here, doctors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, we should just make healthy foods. So we came up with this menu that just had a bunch of healthy stuff on it. And it started off really well. And that's pretty much how we landed in this spot, because it suited what we can pay. We didn't know what we were getting into. My mother's or my partners, I only know so much of the back end. I was never taught
the business side
of it.
Yeah, you just knew the food aspect.
Yeah, and I'm a self-taught chef.
Yeah.
Like I've worked under very good chefs, but as far as like completing a culinary school, like I got a certification, but I never like got any farther because just bad things in my life, just things that I've done, drugs, hanging out with wrong people, just led me down a different path, So that being said, that's kind of like how I started being a chef, was just because I, dropped out of school, I went to a Voltech school, and during all that Voltech school, getting teased because my parents are gay, my dad's gay, my mom's gay, and then, just kids back then, or even now per se.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
They don't know how to maybe ask appropriately, like instead of being mean. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I spoke with my fists instead of being more mature. So
Got it.
I was always getting in trouble with that type of stuff, and that kind of just ruined my mentality of going to school and finishing the Voltech school for culinary. So then I started working with my father at Anamia's Italian restaurant in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Very authentic, making mozzarella in the freaking sink.
Wow.
So we did a lot of cool stuff there, but I didn't really work with my dad like that. Like, I grew up with my grandfather and my grandmother, so a lot of my cooking background comes from my grandmother.
Okay.
Just watching her and helping her in the kitchen. But I also learned a lot from my father because I watched him a lot. I did a lot of the dishes and busboy and bar back, prep work and stuff like that. But again, it's not like he was showing me. It was more of like his sous chef or his lead chef was when my dad would go on break, he would like, come back here, like come cook with me, I'm gonna show you, and stuff like that. So I think my dad just never really wanted me to be a chef like him or follow in those steps, because maybe it was such hard work.
It is.
And it is very hard work. But I feel like certain people, or just how we're brought into this world, we all have paths on what we're doing. Like right now, this is what you're meant to do.
One of the things, I think so. I think it is.
I think so. I mean, because I've watched a lot of different podcasts.
Yeah.
And there's some that I'm just like, and then there's some that I'm intrigued by, and you're one of them. So I was like, especially when I saw Jeremy on there, like I was like, damn, how did he talk to Jeremy?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, and I've been reaching out to him for a couple years now. And we go back and forth on Instagram and trying to get him to come to the restaurant forever.
Oh,
but, he's cool, and I like seeing people like that. Like they're so enthusiastic about food and the culture, and like getting, like, you want to get to know where I've been, how I've been doing it. There's not many people that want to know that. You know, just like they just want to come in and hear, oh, you heard you have the best burger. Buy the burger and either give it a 5-star or a 1-star. But
well, you don't get too many 1 stars. I've seen your Yelp ratings. It's like 4.5 or something like that. So that's a good thing.
We get pretty good reviews. I mean, before I used to be like all about it. Like I used to like crawl on my skin and like get a 1 star, and I start texting them like But I've learned.
Yeah,
I learned to have some thick skin and to be more prideful of what you're doing, because in the end, they don't know what you're going through.
Correct.
They don't know why you're charging this much. They don't know what it takes to put that product out. And I just learned that this is part of this business. as a family-owned business, and I'm teaching my daughter, I'm teaching my son, I'm teaching my wife, about this business, and they help a lot. My daughter works here, and she's from Pennsylvania. She got a little spunky attitude sometimes, so it's and she's also 17. So it could be pretty tough. I love her to death. She understands what I want. She sees my vision. She respects me, but there are times that I notice that she talks a certain way to a customer, but I just think she doesn't notice.
Yeah.
But other people do.
And she's also a 17-year-old.
And she's also a 17-year-old. So, some people, they write a review and it has irrelevant to what the review is about, whether it's about food or about whether my daughter said something or one of my chefs answered the phone, because we do everything here. I don't have a bunch of sous chefs. I don't have a line cooks where we have like a setup. Like, we do everything here. Like, we answer the phones, we deal with customers, we bring out the food, we do the dishes,
It's a team. It's like if you were in a family. Like, if you're a family in your house, you were cooking in your house.
Yeah, so, and I think a lot of people miss that. They're not really knowing. Like, I made the restaurant transparent so that way you can see what's going on back there. Like, so, as far as, like, back to when you were saying when people first come in here.
Yeah.
Even though they order something, they still don't know what they're in for, because they see us back there cooking and stuff, but they still don't, again, know what it takes to what we're doing and how we're doing it. And it goes back to like pricing and stuff like that. It's like, do you know how much I pay for, 40 pounds of chicken, a whole case of chicken? Do you know what it costs to buy that bread and to put that cheese on there?
People, and I think that's one of the hardest parts, I guess, even when you're kind of, because there has been a humongous influx in cost, and you probably seen it since you started in 2019 till now. I mean, in those years, there's been it constantly. I hear it from other owners that I'm friends with. They're like, you don't understand how much it cost, like the price, and obviously people should understand, because we see it when you walk into their own grocery store, but they don't see it in the grand scale of things. No. They don't see it. They just think that, it should be this price, or this is too expensive. So I understand that aspect of it, and that's always kind of a tough one to kind of go with. What is the best part about owning a restaurant, like being able to have, and basically putting out your own
doing
food.
Whatever the hell you want to do, man.
And I think that's great. And I think the one thing that I admire or I love is the fact that you, like, and how you said it, like how your other chefs get to actually also put their flavors and their things out, and their ideas. I think that's so super important to be able to have a collaborative space. It makes it probably a heck of a lot easier for your chefs to know that, hey, if I come up with something cool, I can actually do this and I can actually make it. And it's not like just not Alex's thoughts. It's like all of Alex Fresh Kitchen is coming up with ideas and menu items and changing and kind of things like that.
It's not about me.
Yeah.
In the end, it's not. Like, yes, I started this place. Yes, I'm the owner. I'm the chef. I'm the whatever you want to call me. But in the end, like, these friends, these family that come here to cook and, be a part, they become family. These are people you're with like 7, 8, 10, 12 hours of the day. So to me, I hated going to work and feeling like I was like in like a prison or like a jail. It's like I worked corporation for like 12 years. Okay. I worked for Darden. So it was like, there was so many times I was like, man, I can make this potato plate or this plate look so much better, But you couldn't do that because they had their way.
You had to go their way.
And if you did, you would get in trouble, And I've always hated that. And it was like, man, I used to tell my guys, when I own my own restaurant, man, I'll let you do whatever the hell you want. It's within reason, Like, if it's not like too expensive and it makes sense and it tastes good, let's do it.
I think to me that's one of the reasons why I admire so much the mom and pop, like I call it quote unquote mom and pop, like the small business ones that are not franchises. Like, yes, I know franchise owners are considered also small businesses. However, to me, like whenever anyone ever asks me a question about, why don't you open whatever, a Subway or whatever. And I'm like, I can never do something like that. I can't open a franchise because there's too many ideas that I have that I want to be able to do my own creativity. Not one, I also think Subway tastes like depression, but and that, but in the most cases, like that's kind of the reason why I'm like, I admire so much the home, like the small business owners that are doing their concept, their ideas, because it's so, it's still a small business to have a franchise and do those things, but to see someone have to do that and be able to kind of like someone like you that's like, hey, this is how I want to do it. And if I want to change it up, and if I want to be 1 week, I want to just do this, and then next week I want to do something totally different based on my menu, I can do that. And I think that's what I love about the idea of when you're, especially because I consider chefs just like creatives, like there is an art form to the food. And speaking of art form, I saw, obviously I'm seeing it, but I've also read it. Like you actually have menu items from Alex's Fresh Kitchen tattooed on you.
Yes.
I'm seeing like Mamba Forever. I see the logo.
My mom's cake.
I see the cake.
I got the lemon on top.
I see so many different things.
My cat plays a big part of my life.
So I absolutely love it because it's not only like, hey man, I'm not this is like on me permanently. Like I'm living what I'm making, type of thing. And I think that's so amazing to see, especially seeing it in person as I'm looking across from you and looking at all the things that you have, man. I think it's absolutely amazing. What made you decide to do that? And obviously I know you have other tattoos on you, but what made you decide to kind of put influence or what gets decided of what menu items or foods that are automatically like, hey, I want to have this on me?
Well, it started with the Mamba Burger, as you can see here.
Yep.
When we won the award, it happened during this whole COVID crap, right?
Yeah.
So when COVID happened, I didn't know that I won the award. So, because everyone was out of work, it was getting no emails back. So, in 2020 is when I found out I won. So, I found out through like an email that was sent like prior that we didn't see. So, no one reached out to us. No one gave us the hey, they won. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm friends with Faya. So, I reached out to him and I said, hey, bro, it seems like we won the burger award, but no one ever announced it. I don't know what's going on. I know we're going through COVID and everything like that. So if whatever you can do, let me know. So I'm sure that he jumped on the horn and made some things happen because they were calling me. They gave us a trophy and stuff, and they eventually announced it and stuff like that. So like during the whole COVID time, I just fucked everything up, man.
Yeah,
really did.
It I really feel like it kind of it forces you to like adapt and adjust and be able to pivot, and it basically made it kind of almost like the ones that could do that and adapt were the ones that survived. That and the fact of the community, having the community around you that be able to kind of help support and keep people afloat, especially. But in many cases, you had to change. You had to do takeout. You had to do all the different things. Like you said, you went from just doing breakfast to having to do lunch. Like there's things that you have to do in order to survive.
So basically, COVID has basically made me think outside the box. And then I had so much time on my hand, and I told my wife, I said, I think I'm gonna get a tattoo of the Mamba Burger. And she's like, yeah, right, you should. And I'm like, no, seriously, I should. So I went out to Habitual up the street, and I got it done. And then shortly after that, my wife was like, I want a tattoo too. So we went to a place by my house, and then I got Alex's Fresh Kitchen, like that. I love it. Like
your logo.
I wasn't expecting to go there. I was going there for her tattoo. So then I'm like, I had just gotten this one, and I was like, well, she's getting one. I want to get another one too. But I didn't know what the hell I wanted. So I'm like looking on my phone, Googling and stuff, and I'm like, I want something authentic. I don't want someone else's crap, you know? So I opened up my wallet, and I'm like going through business cards, and I come across my business card, and I'm just like, yeah. Let me put Alex's Fresh Kitchen on my arm. You know, it's like free advertisement. You know, I'm always running out of business cards, so I'm like always tell people here, look it up,
right there,
look right there. So that's kind of like how that one started. And then Ink Spot Tattoo, my friend Smiley, he's done all my tattoos, and we became good friends. Like him next door, him coming over next year, getting food, me going over there, seeing his work. So we became really good friends. And I'm like, bro, I want you to start tatting me up. I have ideas. So The taco came about because the first pretty much special I made was like tacos. And my mom was always like, you always make good tacos, you always make good tacos. So I just made this crazy taco one week and it went crazy. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to put that on my arm. So we put that on my arm. And then I was thinking about a knife on my arm to represent where I'm from. So right there it says William Street, where I'm from in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So people that know me from the block or from the neighborhood know me as Baby Alex and know me as working as my father, know that my family's all a bunch of cooks and stuff like that. So that was just more like a thing for me, where I'm from, you know, what I've been through, ups and downs.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it hits home.
I love it.
It's a different,
and I think for you, it's for you. I know, because like I only have one tattoo, which I plan to get more in 2023. But for me, when I look at it, it's a remembrance. It's a reminder.
yes.
So it's kind of one of those where, like, I sometimes tend to put Post-it notes around my house to kind of, for certain things, to kind of keep me in mind, because sometimes we kind of stray.
Yes.
And I kind of feel like sometimes we tend to forget, and we tend to, I've been in a big journey, and the 2022 has been my big journey. Has been the whole aspect of we tend to be. I've always went the route of progress over perfection, and then I've also gone the route of where it's like, I know that we got to celebrate the small victories along with the big victories, because what happens is, if you keep waiting and waiting, it's kind of the same thing about starting a business, though, right? Like, you always look for the perfect time. There's never a perfect time.
No, there isn't.
There's never a perfect time to have a kid. There's never a perfect time to start a business. There's never like, hey, I'm going to wait till I do this. And then sometimes you're like, what if you never get there? Or what if by the time you get there, you totally forgot and you discredit all the benefits and everything that you've done? I mean, like the mere fact that you opened right before COVID and you're still here and you're still going and you're growing. And even though there's hardships with everything else, like everyone, other business is kind of going through when it comes to like the staffing and everything like that, and trying to figure out how to do everything, you're making it work. And sometimes we tend to forget that, because it's just easy. It's just very easy.
It's easy to give up.
Correct.
That's why I always say never give up.
Yep.
That's why I always say Mamba mentality.
Oh, I was going to say Mamba mentality. That's how he looks at it.
Always in my head. And it's another reminder too, like, you know, when I feel like shit, and I feel like quitting, and I'm like depressed, and I'm like, it's not busy and this and that, and I look at myself in the mirror, you know, I see my kids, I see my wife, and then, you know, I look at all my followers and stuff, and I don't got like a million followers, but most of the followers I do have, I know them personally, and like I'm literally growing fan by fan, you know, one by one, and to me, that is so much better than going viral. You know, that's the way I feel about it.
So you made a comment earlier, and I want to go back to it, because it kind of stuck on me, and it kind of with what you said. So you said originally that you this is a slow process, and you also mentioned kind of like this is like the beginning stages. So like, I'm assuming you have an end, like, so is at the end of the day, like, is this kind of one of those where you're looking at is like, hey, Alex's Fresh Kitchen in Castleberry, this is the beginning spot, but then we may, I want it to be like, you got to almost like, you're crawling, you're basically like, I'm going to use this as my starter, like almost like a starter home.
Yes.
I'm going to use this to kind of learn what I need to know, figure it out, and then from there I can take the next steps of growing and taking my business to the next level. And then maybe even from there, maybe it ventures off. So maybe Alex's Fresh Kitchen is also that Spanish theme that you originally want inspiration may come in kind of in that theory. Is that kind of how I kind of get it? I mean, I kind of, and like, because it kind of connected me when you said it, because I was like, okay, cool. So like he understands, because that's another issue we all have is the fact that we want it's like the microwave mentality, right? We all want everything quick, but it's not. And I know, because I mean, crap, man. I've been in January of 2023. I'll be 10 years as a clothing brand.
Nice. And
I know that I basically have, like, I know the clothing is like, you know, it's not one of those things where it's like, it'll take forever. It can take forever. So I get it. And so in that aspect, like I just consider, so when I hear people knowing and understanding that there's like an unfortunate, sometimes there is a slow game for it, that sometimes you kind of have to play that game, and the long game is what they would call it. You know, and that's kind of always one of the hard parts.
Yes. You hit it right on the button. This is definitely my learning and trying to get it off the ground, make it perfect. I've been offered franchising for quite some time since we've been open. It is a thought. Maybe if I get it off really well, maybe I will make it a franchise, just because I would like to show people back at home where I'm from, like I did it.
Yeah.
It came from nothing.
Correct.
No education, and you can do it too, because in my hometown is a lot of, I would say, poverty, a lot of drugs, gangs and stuff like that. But I would like to see a lot less people dying where I'm from than to be more prosperous and do something in their life. So, but back to opening I say it like this because my grandfather was a very, very big inspiration in my life. And like, I got that tattooed on my arm too. And the sewing machine, he was a crafter. And also, a good father, mentor. He just was all around genuine person, and he knew so much. Yeah. And I wish I would have took a lot more into consideration, learning more. But I learned what I've learned from him as far as morals and just learning to do stuff on your own and not giving up, believing in yourself. He was a very firm believer of that. He make his own clothes, his own hats. He'll take a broken chair and make it into art, make it into a nice chair again. So I want to make a restaurant after my grandfather, and his name was Leo, Alejandro, short for Leo. And the name, I haven't really thought about it clearly. I mean, right now I want to call it Leo's Place or something like that, but I think later on, as I progress, I will find out what that name will exactly be. So I want to do a Puerto Rican themed restaurant, but more of like fancy, elegant, and I just want to go around with food that he loved, like food that I'm like, I used to, when I was a little kid, I'm like, what the hell is that? Why is he eating that? Just weird stuff he would eat. But there are a lot of like those memories that I have that I remember those things that he did eat, and then I would like to recreate the wheel, create like maybe some tapa style, but Puerto Rican infusion. I really want to do stuff that was done back in like before like the Spaniards came to the island and took over and stuff like that, because a lot of the food that we culturize now as Puerto Rican food is not really Puerto Rican food. So, and then a lot of people don't know that. And just over my history and research and stuff like that, I feel like that's missing in our culture. And there's not many places even around here in Florida that are considerably good Puerto Rican restaurants. I feel like they're more Americanized restaurants, So I would like to get dirty down to the roots and really make really good things that we used to eat when, the indigenous times when we were like 1800s and 1900s. Really cool, different foods that you don't normally see. Get pork out that menu because pork wasn't a part of our diet. That was brought over by the Spaniards. So there's a couple things that I want to like tackle and show people and give them that information. Like, hey, you want to try some real Puerto Rican food? Like when me and Elliot worked at Choco's, that was like the only Basque kitchen in Florida. There was nothing compared to what we were doing, what other people were doing. And I look at it now and it's like, I want to do something like that. Like, I want to do something that no one's doing. Something that, like, we have a lot of the Filipino background and Asian background. They're doing things that their culture does that we don't understand. That's cool here, right? So I figure, we could do the same thing too. We have a lot of cool, weird stuff that we cook.
And then the cool thing is, I mean, you technically can test some of these ideas in a kind of more Alex Fresh Kitchen style. Correct. At the same time, when you kind of create those specials to kind of hone in and play those games. So I think that's the great thing about you having kind of like an open it's almost like an open canvas that you
Yes.
get to kind of do what you want when you as you're making things. So sometimes you may taste future flavors that may be coming in a future concepts for Alex, which I love. I have a few other things that I want to talk before my lunch break ends. One was the fact of working with your moms. And working with family. And the reason I asked this question is because how is that in the sense of, because in your case, even more so, you guys are partners. So how does that work with like the vision of what you want and what they want? Is there sometimes conflict when it comes to that? How does that kind of work? And the reason I even asked that question now and even more is because so I run Deadly Fresh Shreds by myself, but my mom wants to help. So there's certain aspects where my mom wants to, and she's a planner. So she'll help me, but like certain little things, like she'll fold shirts, and she's going to help me now like reorganize my office so that I can, as I continue growing, I need to kind of figure better ways. But then there's always that clash.
Always.
Because you're kind of going with like, this is my vision, this is my business, and at least for me in my case, this is usually the case. It's like, this is my thing, not your thing. Like, I've been doing it, not you. So don't be, as much as you want to put your hands. So sometimes you kind of, for me, it's like, don't put your fingers all up my stuff because this is my stuff. In your case, I know it's a little different because you guys are partners, but I'm kind of curious, like, how do you deal with that? And I'm always curious about like the dynamics when it comes to that, when it comes to like husband and wife, couples, things like that, working with friends. So give me a little bit of the dynamics of that, of like, how do you guys kind of work? Is the vision the same, the vision different? Like, how does that all kind of work and blend together when you're working with family and especially with your moms?
Well, number one, my mom is my number one.
Okay.
Both my moms, they've seen me good and bad, and they know me better than anybody. And yes, there are times that we can go back and forth about certain issues per se, like a creation, whether it's cost effective. My mom bakes all the cakes,
Yep.
the gluten-free stuff, so that stuff right there is pretty expensive. So there are times where like she wants to sell it. We sell our cakes for $8, but people don't understand that
It's all gluten-free.
it's all gluten-free, and like a cup of that costs like almost $5 just for a flour. It's like, so back to like, people don't really understand the cost and the effect of what it takes to put out a certain product. So if it was like a regular flour cake, we'd probably sell it for $5-6, but, and then I tell people, when you go out to eat and you go to these, not fine dinings, but the corporations, you pay $8.99, $7.99 for a frozen cake that they cut back there and give it to you. Like, my mom's sweating and heart and passion is going into this cake. It's totally different. So when it comes down to pricing, yes, there are some discrepancies there sometimes. But in the beginning, it was, I wouldn't say it was hard or tough. It was just, we didn't know what we were doing. So there was a lot of going back and forth, not even saying arguing, just you should do this or we should do this or whatever is cost effective. And then eventually, as we start to grow and they see me in my work and what I'm doing, they just grew confident. And before, I wasn't even doing like all the books, the accounting, the taking care of, they were like kind of doing all that. I was just kind of like the gears running the place.
Yeah.
But that was always been my problem. I've never had that time to learn that stuff. So now I'm able to get in and learn all that stuff, and it doesn't cause any friction. She makes what she makes. As far as like cleaning and stuff in here and making stuff, is they're pretty anal how they want stuff done, and I'm different how I want stuff. So it's just small things. It's not anything like crazy. I have a very, very close connection with my mom, so I can't get mad at my mom, and she's like the same way she can't get mad at me very long. We always talk all the time. And same thing for my other mom. She's just, I call her mom because she's like my mom. She is my mom. So so there is no I would say the only person I probably argue with is my younger brother. Zach. He does my accounting. So, but he's also like a financial expert. I'm not. I'm more of the the gut, the passion, like I want to do this because of this, you know. And he's more, well, you can't do that because this is how much it's gonna cost. So I mean, we all have different strengths.
No,
you know?
I get it, man. I get it.
You know.
So I always ask folks, especially in the restaurant business, for sandwich making advice or sandwich making tips. What you got for me? For someone making a sandwich at home, what's some things that they should be considering or thinking of doing when they make a sandwich?
Research.
You're funny. This is like the second person to say research.
Research, man. If you want a perfect sandwich, research. But know what you're doing first.
I get that, but let's say I'm making is there anything that you think that some people making it at home just do not take into account? Like I've heard something from like all four edges. I've heard all four edges, spread the condiment on all four edges. I've heard that. I've heard a bunch of different things. Make sure your layers of your textures of your food, things like that.
Layers and textures are good, but not everybody understands that.
Correct.
That's why research is important. So it can be like a simple peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but would you want a shitty piece of bread or a good piece of bread? Do you want local? Do you want, you know? So it just goes as far as your knowledge goes. So if you want something fast, you're going to eat shit. Yeah. You're going to put something together and just eat it. If you like food and you're like, you want to be full and you want to be like, oh, I like that. Next time I want to try something different, then do that. So everything that I ever do, whether it's like creating something a second time, first time, I'm always researching. I'm always reading about something. Looking at other chefs, other guides and stuff like that. I don't like to copy people. I always like to do my own thing. So just having good equipment, having good quality stuff always makes the best stuff. Like, so if you have
quality ingredients,
if you have bologna, crappy bologna, then it's going to be crappy. So it's just about what you want, how you want to make it, and research. I always research everything and anything I want to make. Like I made pastelillos last week, and I made them out of al pastor taco meat. So I was like, no one's ever done that before. So I was like, let me do it. And instead of putting pineapple in there, I put plátano menudo, so sweet plantains.
Oh God! So
it takes a different take on el pastor and a pastelillo at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I've been eating them all week, selling them all week. So it's just stuff like that. Like I knew that once I created that it was going to be different, but I still researched it. You know, still researched like that. You know, has it been done before? Is any recipes out there? Yeah, no one's done it before. I made a pastelillo burger. No one's done it before. Yeah. So it's just like when you're creating something, man, just put your love into it. Love, passion, regardless if it is quality ingredients. Not everybody can get quality ingredients. Yeah. It's just what you put your mind to.
Make the best of what you got.
Make the best what you got.
What do you do for fun?
Video games.
Do you still have time to play video games? Like, how do you balance that? Because with running your business, running constantly in your brain, family time, all of that, how do you balance it?
That's hard to say. I think that would be a good question for my wife. But
it's funny because my wife makes me ask this question every single time because she's like, "Well, maybe you can learn how you can balance it." I'm trying, but it's definitely a game.
It works for us because I work pretty much all day, and so does my wife. So when she comes home, she's like watching TV. Sometimes we lay down and I watch TV with her, but most of the time I got all this free time. So I'm always working. So now that we're closed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I just like those are kind of like I'm still working. It's like I'm here with you right now. Yeah. So I mean, after this, you know, we're supposed to do like an event at Tactical Brewing, but the guys were like, it's too cold, you know, they don't want to cook out there at night. So I'm like, so we ain't doing nothing tonight. But I mean, it's a hard question, man. Yeah, it really is because I still make time no matter what. I make time for my family. I take my daughter to school every day. I take her to her doctor's appointments. I do things with my wife, my son. We're always doing something. But I always find a moment. Whether it's 2, 3 in the morning, I'm playing a video game. Everyone else is sleeping. So
You time, decompress time.
Yeah. So, and a lot of there I have like my fans, I have friends that I've been friends with for like 15, 20 years. So sometimes I just get on there to like get on a headset like this and we just like decompress talking about stuff, their life stuff, their business stuff. Hey, chef, how'd you open your business? And like, I want to do this. And I just try to help them the best way I can. I think anybody can open a business. I think it's the way to go. I think as far as anybody that doubts themselves is you're just wasting time, man.
Would you say that's your advice for someone wanting to start something?
Just go for it.
Go for it.
Go for it, man. Like I have a friend that's moved from Chicago, and he's not a chef or anything. He's been watching us for quite some time, and he came to the restaurant like beginning of the year, and we became friends. And he just liked what I was doing, and we connected on that level. And now he's going to be using my kitchen to help him take off his taqueria type of brand. So that's how the El Pastor stuff came about, because
you were working with him,
helping talking with him and stuff like that. And he got me in the mood, and I was like, man, I'm going to make some pastor tacos. So, I was making the echote paste, and he made his, I made mine, and I tasted his, and I was like, why are you using the canned stuff, bro? Don't put the canned pineapple in there, man. Don't do that. That just makes it so concentrated. Well,
once again, it's the understanding of the flavors and the levels, and yours, obviously, you're coming from in the background of seeing things come, especially Fresh Kitchen, versus it being coming from a canned kitchen. So
yeah, that's only been corporate for me. That's the only thing that I learned that canned stuff from. But everything else that I've worked, anybody else I worked for, it's always been like from scratch.
Yeah,
making it from ground up.
You got any other advice for that you would either give yourself if you were starting over or looking to start something based on your experience?
Just have a vision. Just go with it.
Okay.
Don't hold back on your visions. Like if you see something and you want it to be that way, do it. Don't listen to anybody else and do it their way, because in the end you're just going to end up suffering from it, or you're going to end up changing it to do it your way anyways. There's a reason why you get those gut feelings, those heart feelings, and that to me, I say that's, the people say it's your conscience. I say that I think of it as God. Mm-hmm. Like everything that I've done to this time has always been on decisions on faith and like Christ himself. I don't go to church, but I do talk to him at night. I talk to him when I go to sleep. I don't talk out loud. It's more of like a talking in my mind.
Yeah.
But I'm always talking to him, asking for guidance and stuff like that. And he's never steered me wrong,
Yep.
I'm definitely not like a person to be like Christ, But at the same time, you got to have some faith in something, whether it's whatever you believe in. Just put it that way.
I love it. How can people follow you? Where can they? Where's the restaurant at? Give the details of how people can follow and eat, and also at the same time follow you on social.
You can follow us on Alex's Fresh Kitchen FL.com is the website. You can check that out. Also, Alex's Fresh Kitchen on Facebook and Instagram. The address is 1015 FL 436 Suite 109, Castleberry, Florida. We're right next to the Wawa and Redbud Lake and Tijuana Flats. So if you're not looking for us, you're not going to find us.
Yeah.
So
just put it in Waze.
Yeah. You'll just have to put it in Waze, put it in Google, just type of Alex's Fresh Kitchen, and we're in the pass through of Altamont and Maitland. So
yeah. You definitely got you're in the crosshairs of all of those areas.
Yes.
For sure. Yes. Alex, thank you so much. That's our show for today. Thank you so much to Alex Diaz for being on and having lunch with me today. Make sure to check them out. Go to the restaurant. If you do go, I'll keep preaching it. Take the dang pictures and post it and tag them. Let them know that you ate here. Share the wealth. Spread the word when it comes to that. If you enjoyed the show, definitely make sure to subscribe. Obviously, tell your friends. Put some ratings down. Put some stars. Whatever you want to do. If you want to support my brand, check out Deli Fresh Threads. Do some shopping. Once again, tell your friends. If you haven't realized this yet, word of mouth is like the greatest thing you can do for anybody. Thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion. Thanks, everyone. Bye.